You remember that John is really deliberate in the words that he uses in his gospel. He has this theme flowing through his gospel of dualism, these kind of themes side by side, light and dark, life and death, Jesus being fully God and fully man. And that last one there we see so vividly in the portion that we're in John chapter 19 this morning. You remember from last week, Jesus has been arrested, he's been falsely tried, he's been brought before Pilate, the Roman governor. And Pilate says, I find no guilt in him, but I know you have this custom. Who do you want me to release? I'll release one prisoner to you at this time of the year at Passover. Jesus, in whom I find no guilt, or Barabbas, who is a thief. And the crowds who are so blind to the truth of who Jesus is and the gospel that he brings, they choose Barabbas. And so Pilate brings out Jesus, and he says three of the most true words that he has probably ever spoken as he brings him out. He says in John chapter 19 verse 5, behold the man. Behold the man. Jesus comes out, and John is really specific in the details that he says about Jesus. He has a crown of thorns on his head, and he's clothed in a purple robe, kingly clothes. A crown of thorns and kingly clothes. Now what John is doing here is deliberate. Jesus comes as the second Adam. So right at the start of the Bible, we are introduced to Adam. Adam is God's viceroy, his king on earth. And Adam is given a purpose to be fruitful and multiply. He is made in God's image, and Adam's purpose is to multiply that image until the glory of God covers the earth like the waters cover the sea. That's Habakkuk 2:14. That is Adam's purpose. He is God's king on earth. And yet we see sin enters into the picture in Genesis chapter 3, and it distorts and it divides, and it ultimately brings death. And one of the curses that is brought to Adam is that as he works the ground, it will resist him. The ground is cursed, and instead of easily and freely bringing up fruit, he will contend against thorns and thistles. The king, God's king back in Genesis chapter 3, now contending with thorns and thistles. And now God's king, Jesus, here clothed in purple cloth and kingly clothes with a crown of thorns placed on his head. John is presenting Jesus as the second Adam here. But unlike Adam, Jesus accomplishes God's purpose. He brings about God's glory perfectly. Where Adam stumbled, Jesus succeeds. Where Adam sinned, Jesus was perfect. Where Adam rebelled, Jesus walks in perfect obedience to the Father. Jesus is the second Adam, the better Adam. And he is the man. Pilate says, behold the man. That is exactly what he is. That is who suffers and dies on the cross. That is who God's wrath is poured out. You know, when we talk about Jesus dying on the cross, we're talking about Jesus, the man, dying on the cross. God does not die on the cross. He can't die on the cross. That would make the Trinity cease to be eternal. That just can't happen. God the man in Jesus Christ suffers and dies in our place. He had to on the cross. The book of Hebrews makes that really clear. It had to be a man who died for our sins so that we could relate to each other, and that is exactly what Jesus does. Pilate presents Jesus as the man because that is who we needed. A better Adam. An Adam who would fulfill the purpose of God. An Adam who would be God's king. An Adam who would take on the thorns, but in doing so bear the weight of our sin and our shame and our guilt. In theology, you have this term of a federal head, and what they mean is kind of the person at the top of the chain, our first father, if you would call it that. And whoever our first father is, all that they are flows into us as their children. Now, if we are outside of God, if we are not Christians, our father is Adam. And all that he was and all that he represented flows into us. And what did he represent? Death, separation from God, destruction. He is the head of those who are outside of Christ. But for those of us who are God's children, our federal head Our new Father is Jesus Christ. And everything that he is flows towards us as his children. Peace, joy, love, mercy, grace. Who is your head? The first Adam or the second Adam? It's my prayer that Jesus would be the head of your life, the head of who you are, and you would enjoy all the blessings that come as they flow from him. Behold the man, Jesus, the very man that we needed to make a way for us to be right with God and for us to enjoy all the blessings that he has for his children.